President Trump's new sweeping tax and spending bill just cleared the Senate, and it's being called a massive victory for Republicans. But beyond the celebration, everyday Americans are now asking, what does this really mean for us? If you've heard talk about $10,000 per household in potential benefits, you're not imagining things. This bill includes broad financial changes that could reshape how you earn, spend, and save. One of the standout changes is an increase in the state and local tax deduction. For the next 5 years, households will be allowed to deduct up to $40,000 instead of the previous $10,000. But this isn't permanent. It reverts in 2029 unless Congress acts again. There's also a tax break for tip earners and those working overtime. Up to $25,000 in tip income and $12,500 in overtime pay, or $25,000 for couples, will be tax-exempt, with phase-outs beginning at $150,000 in income. Medicaid is where things turn more controversial. Nearly $1 trillion in cuts are proposed over the next decade, potentially removing coverage for almost 12 million Americans. New work requirements and co-pay structures are set to apply unless you're elderly, disabled, or caring for young children. To balance the hit, the Senate added a $50 billion fund to protect rural hospitals from closing due to lost Medicaid support. The bill also targets clean energy, fast-tracking the end of solar and wind tax breaks by 2027. Meanwhile, electric vehicle credits of up to $7,500 will disappear after September 2025. On the flip side, Trump's proposal encourages American-made auto purchases with a deduction of up to $10,000 in interest on new vehicle loans, only if the car is assembled in the U.S. Though the size of the loan required to even qualify for that much interest relief has raised eyebrows, the intention is clear: boost domestic production. For businesses, the bill is packed with long-term tax relief, particularly in manufacturing and research. Companies can now permanently deduct depreciation and research expenses, and semiconductor firms will see their investment credit jump from 25% to 35%. The aim is to push more chip manufacturing into the U.S., although some critics doubt whether these promises will be fulfilled after Trump's term. Families with children get a small but meaningful bump as well. The child tax credit rises to $2,200 per child and will now be adjusted for inflation. It's not the $2,500 that was floated earlier, but it's a step up from the $1,000 fallback that would have taken effect without the bill. More notably, Trump's new child investment accounts allow contributions of up to $5,000 per year, with a $1,000 starter bonus for kids born between 2025 and 2028. We also see a hit to college endowments, with new tax rates reaching up to 8% for wealthier institutions. The CFPB's budget, a watchdog agency many conservatives criticize, is being slashed nearly in half, potentially limiting its ability to enforce consumer protections. Food aid isn't left untouched either. The work requirement age for SNAP, food stamp, recipients will now go up from 60 to 65. States will also be asked to shoulder some of the costs of these programs, a move that could lead to varying benefits across the country depending on local politics and budgets. Border security is another pillar of the bill, with nearly $92 billion allocated for detention centers and border wall expansion. This continues Trump's hardline immigration stance, aimed at enforcing stricter control over undocumented migration. Lastly, the bill addresses remittances, money sent abroad, by implementing a 1% tax on all transfers. While this is lower than the 3.5% in the House version, it still adds a cost to families supporting loved ones overseas. The bill isn't law yet. It must still pass the House in its current Senate-approved form. But if it does, we're looking at a mixed bag of sweeping financial reforms, big benefits for some, sharp losses for others. Experts argue that while cuts in areas like Medicaid and food aid will sting, the overall package might prevent even steeper tax hikes and fiscal shortfalls in the future. As always, politics will decide whether this big beautiful bill becomes law or just another legislative battle.